Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think we are getting live here everywhere. So exciting to gather tonight. Look, I got my Soil Power t-shirt on, Soil Power Regenerative Agriculture. It's a Patagonia shirt. I love that company, another great company that takes really good care of soil. So I am so curious because if you are tuning in tonight, there's a reason. Not everybody is interested in soil. So I want to know in the comments, please just tantalize me with this piece of curious information. Why are you tuning in or catching the replay? Is it because you're a farmer? Is it because you want to make better consumer choices? Is it because you want to know why Young Living essential oils smell different than the other ones you have in your house? Is it because you want to be better educated about natural options so that you can, feel better about what you're giving your family and your own body? So why the heck did you decide to tune in tonight to learn about the history of Young Living and why some essential oils are more powerful or have better results than others? Because that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But first, I got to tell you something that I learned, and it's fascinating. And that is there is this word which is humus. Are you familiar with the word humus? What it is it is the soil. It is soil. And I went and dug this out of our soil in the back, out of our field in the back. And this particular soil has never been tilled or had pesticides or herbicides sprayed on it of any sort. And what you'll see is there is roots, there is bugs, there is a beautiful smell. Like soil, healthy soil has this incredibly rich smell. So this humus, this top layer of dirt, we now know, and science understands this better now than it ever has, that this top layer of soil is what provides the nutrients to plants. Okay, so whether you're farming, whether this is in your garden, this is where your plants get the nutrients. And more fascinating, what they have really discovered in recent years is it's the bacteria and the fungi that live in this humus that are providing the nutrients to the plant. So I'm not going to get super sciencey on you, but you're going to need to know that. But the cool part is not that. The cool part is the word humus has the same root word as the word human, has the same root word as the word humility, huma, meaning of and for the earth. And I think that, we don't have to be a scientist or a farmer to understand that without a healthy layer of humus, that humans wouldn't be here. I mean, we exist because of what the soil offers in terms of plants and food, and then the trees that they grow provide us the oxygen we breathe. Humus, our soil, it's essential on our planet that it's healthy. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Now, I want to show you a little cool demo, which is that this is a piece of bread. This is a piece of bread that has a bunch of different grains in it, and it's a lovely piece of bread. Now, this is very similar to the humus. So I want to kind of draw this parallel, bread, humus. Why is it similar? Because, and I'll turn my screen down, because this here, this healthy soil, when water comes into it, it holds onto that moisture to give to the plant. Now, why is it important that it holds moisture? That's going to help the plant be healthier. And also not most, but many farms these days irrigate. If you've got a healthy soil, it's going to hold moisture longer to provide the plant less irrigation. That means less usage of, fresh water that could be for other things. Same as this bread, okay? Now, what happens, I want to do this over top of this because I've got something else down here. What happens when we have really good soil but we don't treat it well, okay? So take this bread and imagine conventional farming. What does conventional farming do? It plows, it cuts up the field. So we're gonna take this bread and cut it up with a knife, okay? Cuts it up, what does that do? It cuts all the roots, in that soil that are binding it together. Then what does conventional ag do? Comes along and says, we need to spray weeds. And so it sprays chemicals over the soil. Again, breaking down the natural ecosystem, breaking down the plants, and breaking down that soil, that humus, that matter. Then it comes along and says, ooh, we have bugs on our plants. We need to spray pesticides. and it sprays that and it kills all the bugs, which are also thriving in here, the fungus, the things that give the plants food. So it's doing these things to this beautiful bread, and eventually you do all that stuff, and what you're left with is this. Now this is flour, right? This is very different than the piece of bread, and it's very different from healthy soil. So then the farmer says, okay, now I've got this field and there's no bugs and there's no weeds, and this is what's left. And then it tries to grow a crop and it says, ooh, it's not a great crop, can't make much money. So it says we need to spray, the farmer says, because he's trying to make money, not because farmers don't, I'm a farmer, not because farmers don't care about the land, needs to make money to make the payments on the farm. We need to add fertilizer, and then it sprays fertilizer on there. And with fertilizer in this flour, we get a plant, and it is growing from what was once soil and is now dirt and fertilizer being added, rather than being grown from a healthy humus soil. Now, what does this have to do with Young Living? Okay. What does that have to do with Young Living? Let me tell you what it has to do with Young Living. I grew up on a farm where my dad was really into soil health. So I spent my childhood on my knees digging into dirt like this, smelling dirt, measuring layers of organic matter. Our farm had very little organic matter. And through regenerative agriculture practices, that being rotational grazing, spreading manure, not tilling, not using chemicals, we built that matter up. So I grew up learning about this, okay? And I went off, traveled the world, went to school, decided to go and work for John Deere. As a farm girl, that was the ultimate, right? Go work for John Deere. It's a great company, great tractors. So I go work for John Deere, and that's awesome. I have like the dream job. I meet my husband there. I'm paid well. I'm having fun. We have 2 kids, what many refer to as the $1 million family, a girl and a boy. And shortly thereafter, things sort of started to fall apart. The kids were sick all the time, and anxiety and pressure of the corporate world were really getting to us. And the truth is, where I used to love being outside and with the soil and with agriculture and with growing, it had been a long time since I had taken a walk in the bush. And I want to know, you can put in the comments, when was the last time you took a walk in the bush? Okay, super important to your mental health. So, make a long story short, a friend told us about essential oils and said, hey, you should try these. They could really help your kids. Well, I was a new mom. I had 2 kids under 2. Hey, I was happy to try anything to get their noses to stop running and get them to sleep through the night. So I got the kid at oils. I didn't understand how oils worked. I'd had other oils in my home. And it was really immediate that we realized that these essential oils that we were using were having a big impact on every member of our household in different ways. DiGize was a game changer for Rob, who used to take a ton of Tums. Thieves was the game changer for our kids, who never seemed to be able to thrive, have thriving immune systems. And for me, lemon oil was a lifesaver in terms of emotional support. So right away, the oils made a difference. I got really excited and started to take classes and learn. And because I was telling so many people and they were getting oils and I was referring customers to Young Living as a brand partner, I won a trip to a farm in Utah, one of the main farms in Utah that Young Living owns. So I said, Dad, come with me. Let's go down to Utah and check this place out. Now, remember, coming from this farming background, deeply ingrained in regenerative ag, we were pretty excited to go to a farm, and we were really going to scout this and check it out. And so we fly down to Utah a day early, I think even 2 days early, and we go to the Young Living farm, and we are so excited. And there's a little visitor center there and beautiful gardens with all these incredibly fragrant botanical plants. And the lady welcomes us in, and we're smelling all the oils. And she says, well, go look around. And I just assumed that go look around meant look around, the touristy area of the visitor center and the botanical gardens. So we took a beautiful walk around there. That takes you like half an hour. It's massive. And then we spotted a machine shed. So it's just like white picket fence all around these beautiful gardens. And there was a little gate, and the machine shed was across a gravel yard through this gate. And so I remember my dad and I stopping and being like, we got to go over there. Like, we're not supposed to go over there, but we got to go over there. We thought we weren't supposed to go over there. We're like, what's the worst they can do is kick us out. So we go through this gate, we like it's almost a run, but like a walk run, like hopefully nobody stops us on the way to the machine shed. And we get over to the machine shed, we open the door, and there's all these people inside working, and they welcome us. They take off their welding masks, they take off their gloves, and they tour us around all the stuff they're working on. They're modifying planters, they're extending a stock trailer, I remember. And so that was really interesting. And then we said, what we're really into is plants, because my dad was really into soil health and plants. We said we want to talk to somebody about that. They called the farm manager over, and he spent the next few hours with us answering anything we wanted to know. It was an incredible experience, and he probably would have stayed with us all day, but we hadn't eaten or drank anything for hours in the hot Utah sun. And what was amazing to us is we saw firsthand, and we weren't even expecting this, that this farm, this Young Living farm started by Gary Young many, many years ago, was living and breathing regenerative agriculture practices. Not as in like, let's just say we are, but the more time we spent, the more blown away we were by how ingrained they were into protecting soil health, because they intimately understood how soil health impacted plant production and quality of plants, and essentially the quality of the plant that they were growing and the health of it, and how it was being nurtured by the soil and by the people, that impacted the final product, which was the essential oil that they were putting to market, and that our family had fallen in love with, and that we were promoting to all of the rest of the world. And it was so like, it just felt like this miracle of miracles that I had landed in an essential oil company that deeply understood and valued something that our family had been interested in and committed to for years prior. So that's my piece of how the story comes together. Now, what I want to sort of bring this point home to you is that you might say, okay, Yvonne, but I don't understand anything about soil and farming. And I just want to invite you to recognize that on an intuitive level, you probably realize a lot more than you think you do. And so I've got an example here, and I just want you to ask you, and I want you to put in the comments. Sorry, I see there's comments there, but I will catch them later. I want you to put in the comments. I've got two different carrots here. This is a carrot that I bought from market today, and this is another form of carrot that many people eat. And I want to know baby carrot, or what do they call these? I think they call them baby carrots. Baby carrot, or we'll call this, I don't know what we call this, or real carrot. If you had a choice of what you were going to snack on in terms of flavor and what your body is telling you in this moment would serve it better, which carrot would you choose? And I'm going to even invite myself to share with you the experience. I'm going to take a bite of the baby carrot. There's a lot of moisture. There's a bit of flavor, but it's quite dull, okay? I don't even think this is washed, but this is totally different. The texture is different. I'm talking with my mouth full. There is like a richness and a depth, like my whole mouth is tasting carrot. I'm screaming, there is a carrot in your mouth, Yvonne. Okay. Let me wash that carrot down so I don't cough on you guys. So here's the thing. I don't know anything about this company that sells these baby carrots. I don't know what kind of soil they use. I don't know anything about this one. But I intuitively know that this is what's happening in a better way for my body. It tastes better, the flavor's better. There is more vibrancy and life, vibrational force in this carrot than in this bag of carrots would ever be. I feel like, in terms of like, if I just asked my body, like, how many bags of carrots like this would I have to eat to, feel the same life force and give my body the same energy as this? Like 4 is what comes to mind. I don't know what, I don't know any science behind that, but intuitively, I know that's better. And it's no different than, I have other brands of oils in our home, and intuitively, when I smell them, there is a difference for me between smelling Young Living essential oils and smelling other brands. And I know I'm not the only one who's experienced this because as I have been sharing oils for 7 years, and do you know the most common client that I get says, I already have oils. I already have oils, another brand. And I go, that's awesome. If you have oils already and you already believe in natural healing, you are going to love this Young Living Northern Lights Brax Spruce. Let me put it in your hand so you can smell it. And they smell it and go, wow. Most of the people who I gain as customers come from another oil brand, and they don't know anything about this humus and this soil stuff. They don't know that Young Living doesn't put chemicals all over their soil, so it turns into dirt and then try to grow plants. They don't know that, but intuitively their body says this feels good. Okay, so went off on a tangent there. You know more than you think you do. Trust yourself. Okay, so we go to this Young Living farm, we meet these people. And what I came to learn after was the story of Gary Young. So Gary Young was a man who grew up very humbly in the mountains of Utah. He loved nature. He came to BC, Canada, and had a really traumatic logging accident where he couldn't walk. He was on a ton of meds. They said he'd never walk again, and got extremely depressed through that, with suicide attempts and brain numbed out on meds. And at some point in there, he just said, this is no way to live. And he was inspired to figure out a way to heal himself so he could walk and live again, that didn't have crazy side effects. And that journey was a long journey of research and study and traveling around the world learning. And he really felt that there was potential with essential oils. And so he started to distill oils. And at first, he was distilling like in his garage in these little distilleries, and people would bring him plants in exchange for oils. And he saw the oil starting to benefit him and other people. And he studied more and studied more. And then he realized, hey, we have to figure out a way to make this business so that people can have these oils all over the world. How do we do this? And you'll love this. He fell in love with a lady, Mary, who's the current CEO of Young Living. And she was a Mary Kay rep. And so he said, Mary, we have to get a way to get these oils so they can be in everybody's homes. How do we do that? And she came from a network marketing background, and she said, I think we should build a network marketing company. And that's what they did. So they had this knowledge and reverence for plants and healthy plants being grown in healthy soil. And they had a desire to get oils into every home, and they built this company from that. Now, we're talking like 27 years ago. This is old news now. But Gary Young passed 2 years ago. He is now a legend. He's a legend not only for the farms he developed around the world and the essential oil research and the blends that he did, and the knowledge he had about the healing power of plants. But he's also a legend because he figured out a way to, essential oils are not new. This is not some new hippie thing. I mean, they've been used for millions of years in biblical times, in ancient Egypt and ancient China, and found in tombs thousands of years old. But what he did was he really motivated the modern essential oil movement for the world as we know it today. He was a leader who said, hey guys, there are other options to pharmaceuticals. And in fact, many of the pharmaceuticals on the market today have roots in natural healing and were broken down and figured out how to make, into a pill or into a syrup or something on a commercial mass market basis. Okay. So I find that super interesting. At the end of the day, what I know from visiting, now I visited, I don't know how many of the Young Living farms around the world, including Ecuador. What I have witnessed with my own eyes is people coming in from the field with hoes. And I've said, what are those people doing? And they were out hoeing weeds because they don't use chemicals. And what I know is that every Young Living farm around the world, you can go, whether you are a Young Living client or not, and ask to look around. They are totally transparent about their processes because they have nothing to hide, nothing to hide. That day we ran to the machine shop and we thought that was an area we weren't supposed to be. In fact, there was no areas on the farm where you weren't allowed to be. You could go anywhere. You could ask any questions. There is nothing to hide about Young Living. And that is why as a farm girl who loves my oils, I feel so confident sharing them. So I left my corporate world, I don't even know now, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with my life, but I knew that this whole world that I was existing in, this rat race and this commute and trying to do it all and raise kids, I knew that that wasn't working for me anymore. And what essential oils did for me was really made me realize that I had got extremely disconnected from the earth, extremely disconnected from the place that in my whole childhood had provided nurturing to me, had provided a space, a sense of peace, had provided so much wellness and so much ability to be free, like so much freedom. And I had disconnected from that. And essential oils were like the thing that made me go, Yvonne, you feel better connected to nature. And today, when I teach about oils or I offer forest bathing classes, what I love is helping people on that tipping point where they realize, wow, I feel better connected to nature. And whether that's a walk in the woods, whether that's making healthier food choices, maybe it's growing your own food, maybe it's breathing in essential oils in your diffuser, maybe it's rubbing essential oils on your body before you go to bed at night, maybe it's using essential oils on your kids. What I realize now is that all humans feel better connected to nature. And so what I offer is a desire to help people over that tipping point where they're willing to stand up and say, I do feel better when I do this. So I'm going to make it a priority. And so in closing, I have a few things I want to cover, but if nothing else, I want you to inspire you to bring your connection with nature a little bit higher on the priority list. Just a little bit higher. I promise you, you will feel better. There's so many other things I want to share about the farm and their practices, but I want to give you this Coles Notes package and stay tuned for more to come on this subject. If you're wondering why your essential oils smell different and are higher quality, it is all about the value they put on soil health. Okay. So if you're inspired from this at all and you're like, hey, I want to get oils for the first time, I am happy to send anybody who decides to get oils tonight or some other time for the first time. If you're watching this, message me and I'm going to pop this, my favorite, we call it the Oily Bible book, in the mail to you. It's all about what oils help with what in the body and the mind and the spirit and all the good stuff. So if you're somebody who's like, hey, I'm ready to try this, let me know and I'll send this your way. And the other thing I want to share with you is that tomorrow night I'm doing a class at 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Not really a class, but I'm going to interview a few of my friends who've used oils for various different things, and they're going to share their story. They're going to, it's really candid, like casual interview. I'm going to say, tell me what the problem was, what oil did you use, how did you use it, and what happened? Because I could sit here all day telling you, use this oil for this and this oil for this. I really want you to hear these people's stories because you might know somebody who's struggling with the same things that they are. So that's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I'll post all the links in the event page after so you can catch them. On Wednesday, there's a class at 8 o'clock on patio refreshments with essential oils. My friend Vanessa is doing. It's going to be a ton of fun. If you love oils and you like cooking, you're going to love that class. On May 6th, we've got a class, Oils for Your Organs, which is about how we store emotions in organs in our body, which lead to disease or discomfort. And so what does that look like in the body? And on May 7th, we've got a basic oils 101 class. If you're brand new and you're like, hey, I've got some oils and I don't know what to do, or I would get oils, but I just feel like it's too confusing, you're going to want to attend that event. Again, the links will be in the comments. May 8th, we're doing a class on mixing your own perfumes because every time you spray fragrance on your body is going to have to detox that out and work really hard. And eventually it can't keep up anymore. Okay. On May 9th, if you're curious about what it means to be a brand partner with Young Living, what it means to be an advocate for essentially a farm that produces high quality products that help people, and you're like, hey, how do I earn money doing that? You're going to want to catch that class. Of course, you can message me with any questions or post them below. I'll do my best or tag somebody who can answer them. And I would love to hear, because this is my first time teaching with this demo, I would love to hear what your biggest takeaway was for tonight. What piece really seemed to click? as to why essential oils from Young Living have a different impact on people than most essential oils on the market, okay? With that, guys, again, good night. I wish you the intention of bringing your connection with nature up a little higher on the priority list.